DVD.
Hey Cameron I'm Ashley Matthews and you're watching my final episode of Film Geek. I'm going to do things a little differently this episode and start out with my movie review. Let's talk about the new release I got this weekend, Dumb and Dumber 2, which is a comedy. This movie stars Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels. This movie takes place 20 years since they had their first adventure. Lloyd and Harry go on a road trip to find Harry's discovered daughter who was given up for adoption. Let's take a look at the trailer.
Mock. Yeah. Ing. Yeah. Bird. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a postcard from Freda Felcher.
Lloyd, I'm your dad. No way.
I had a daughter. I gave her up for adoption.
What if we go track her down?
You're hot for my daughter.
What?
Am I right?
That's insane.
Maybe we should catch a bus.
Can't. We got the bike.
They got bike racks on the front of buses now. Can you go faster?
Harry, pedaling as fast as I can. I like her a lot. Let's call her.
It's ringing.
Whoever this is, we're in the middle of something very important here.
This is your dad.
What?
I gotta take this. It's my dad.
She's got me on hold.
Dumb and Dumber 2.
Check out the hotties at 12 o'clock.
That's 3 hours away. Why can't I check him out now?
Rated PG-13. In theaters November 14th.
This week I'm joined with Justin Winters, who's a senior, who's also our third base baseball player for Aggies. Thanks, Justin. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So we saw Dumb and Dumber 2.
Yes, we did.
What was your expectations walking into the theater, seeing a movie being a two-part 20 years later?
Well, I was pretty excited. I'm a fan of the movie, the original, and I kind of had high hopes for it because I did like the first one so much. So I was kind of nervous because I wasn't sure if it would be up to par as the first one was, and I was a little excited too because I wanted to see it. So that's how I felt.
Do you feel it was equal to the first, better, worse?
So I don't think it was equal to the first. The first movie is a very popular movie with a lot of people, especially guys around my age. I know a lot of people who enjoy it, and it gets quoted all the time. And so, I wasn't expecting it to be as good, but I was hoping for it. And I just feel that it had its moments, but not every moment was like the first movie.
So you brought up a good point. You say a lot of your generation, so I feel like, is it because that maybe our generation age group liked the first movie because of the age that we were at that time? So do you think this movie is now for the age group then, but now, and to get the people to watch the first one now? Does that make sense?
I feel like age does play a little bit into it. I feel like I can channel my younger self when I'm watching it, and I think that helps me relate to the humor, and I enjoy it. But I'm not 5 years old anymore, and so it is a little bit different than when I first experienced Dumb and Dumber. And so I try to channel that younger self, but I'm still not 5 anymore. So it definitely, I think, affected how I felt about the movie. But I knew that going in, and so I try to keep an open mind about it and, experience it as best I could.
Do you think they chose a good storyline to go from where they'd left off before?
I actually thought that was the best they probably could have done with it.
Really?
It wasn't the best storyline, but neither was the first one.
Right,
and
that's
so,
true.
And so I enjoyed how it continued on 20 years later. It kind of felt like it picked up right where it left off, even though it's happened now instead of back in the day. But I enjoyed the plot. I felt that they did a good job for the most part trying to tie it all in, and I knew it wasn't going to be the best storyline ever, but I wasn't really worried about that part of the movie. I was more concerned with the jokes they were going to write before it. So
what'd you think about that? Because I laughed twice. 2 times, that is it.
Yeah, no, it didn't, like I said, it didn't hit home like the first one did. It had its moments. It had times where I thought they were clever or they did a good job. But the original movie, that's all they did. All they did,
every line was a joke.
Gotcha. And so this time it wasn't quite that. And I think you can expect that when it comes to a sequel, but you know, you hope you hold it to a standard that the first one was
Right.
at, and it's hard to deliver sometimes. And I don't know if they did. It's the best they could have. It's hard.
What was your opinion on the girl they chose to be the daughter?
I wasn't thrilled. When I mean, we knew Harry had a daughter from the trailer they talked about. That was kind of the whole storyline. So I knew it was going to happen, but I wasn't too thrilled with how they went about writing her. And I thought that she was just a little too dumb, honestly. And it wasn't that she shouldn't have been. It got almost annoying.
Yes.
And I feel like she was trying to almost act as if she was part of like the group, or like how Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels they act, and they're professionals at it, and you know, they were the originals, and so you kind of accept it. But with her, I just didn't accept it as well. You know?
I agree. I definitely agree. But you and I both had different views on going into this movie.
Absolutely.
You wanted to see this, like, nothing was coming before that. Like, you wanted to see this movie.
Yeah.
Me, somebody should have, like, knocked me upside the head before I even watched in the theater. I had no hopes on this movie at all.
Right.
Like, none. But I think that's because it was ruined during my childhood. So, I mean, heck, I was in 5th grade, and I feel like all they did was make fun of this. But, you know, that's what guys did. That's what boys did at that age. They just used this movie, and it was the funny movie, and it was Jim Carrey, and so now I'm like, oh my gosh. So I thought it was funny then, the first one, but I was also 9. So I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be an okay movie. I can tolerate it and sit through it. No. No. Really? I laughed more at the trailers before the movie than I did at the movie that was supposed to be the comedy movie.
Right.
So how do you feel? Do you feel someone should go in?
I think what it comes down to is the way we relate to it is just different.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, I still think the original's hysterical.
Right.
And I'll still watch it. And I feel like maybe as I watch this 2 or 3 times again, that I might find things in it that I find funnier.
Right.
I've done that with the original, so I'm kind of optimistic when it comes to that. And so maybe seeing it with friends
Guys.
of mine, you know, it could help, you know. So I'm optimistic. I wouldn't, you know, say that it was as good, obviously, but it wasn't terrible.
So would you suggest someone see this in the theater, or should they wait to rent it at home?
I would say if you're a super fanboy like I am when it comes to Dumb and Dumber, go see it in the theater. You won't be that disappointed. It has its moments, but if you don't consider yourself a huge fan of Dumb and Dumber, then you don't have to go see it. You're not going to relate to it.
But if you're curious, wait till it comes out and just rent
DVD,
it.
yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah. So different opinions. It really matters. But thanks for Justin. Thanks for joining me today on my last episode.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
And I'll be right back.
Hi, welcome to High Horse University. You're a communications major, right? Here at High Horse U, you're just a number to us because you're making us loads of money. You'll also have to sell your kidney to pay for tuition. Sign on the dotted line, please.
That's what happened.
Come with me. This is Cameron University's Communication Department. We care about quality education, not robbing you blind. Here, you'll actually get to know your professors and classmates. You won't be needing this anymore.
Visit Cameron.edu for more info.
The past year and a half has been the most amazing experience that I've had the honor of taking over. Though no matter what else I have had going on in my life, I've always put Film Geek first. It made it my priority. I put a lot of time and hard work into this show, and I'm sad to see it not be mine anymore. The set has changed, the news has changed, I've changed. I'll be right back with Dr. Jenkins, who has been along the ride since the beginning of Film Geek.
Dear Aggie, I feel my teacher is treating me unfairly. Any advice on what I should do?
Dear Aggie, I'm getting burnt out this semester. How can I avoid going nuts?
Dear Aggie, any advice on how to avoid getting sick this flu season? Dear Aggie.
The Cameron Collegian presents Dear Aggie, our new weekly advice column featured in the Student Life section. Submit your anonymous questions about issues involving school, family, relationships, or anything else on AggieCentral.com. Just click on the Dear Aggie tab for more information.
I'd like to welcome Dr. Jenkins for joining me. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
What was it like to see the show progress from a year and a half ago, or even when Brittany Pfeiffer did this, to now? What's it like to feel?
Well, Brittany Pfeiffer original premise was to reenact trailers using hand puppets, which I thought was a great idea. And so when you took the show over, you progressed with it in your own direction. So it was totally different than that.
Right.
And I liked what Brittany did, and I've really liked what you've done as well, which is to add more of a technical or technological flair to it. You know, I liked the use of the chroma key,
right,
and the fact that you can see the trailer in the background while you talk to your guest. The fact that you have a new guest every week that goes, and you have someone to talk to and interview about the movie. And the fact that they started to come from other shows,
right,
and do other things for shows that are seen on CUTV and on Aggie Central. I was really, and Pioneer Telephone Systems. I was really happy to see. So, yeah, it really has grown over the last year and a half, and it's really it turned into something that's really I'm very proud of.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. What's your take on students picking up and running with like original shows, coming up with their own ideas, and you giving them control on what they can do, and checking in with you and saying this is okay, but they come up with these ideas?
Well, when I was an undergraduate and in graduate school, having the opportunity to work on live to tape or live multi-camera television shows was a very competitive process. And so when I came to Cameron as a professor, one of my goals was to increase the production opportunities that students would have. And one of those is to increase the number of shows. And so students have to have an interest, have to have an investment, have to have that idea of ownership. Right. And so if they come with the idea, and as long as it fits in with what is happening with our programming at Cameron, and we have enough students to crew the shows,
right,
I'm for it. But they have to come and, as you well know, work on a show for a semester, at least a semester, and work their way up into those positions. So I'm happy to continue that. We've done all sorts of things. I mean, we've done telenovelas, we've done game shows. We have different incarnations of the sports shows over the years, and I'd like to see those kinds of things. And my plan and goal is to have those kinds of things continue.
As a filmmaker, does it excite you to see students doing things that you've envisioned yourself doing, that you've done yourself?
It excites me to see students that are excited about what they're doing. In other words, you came in, you took over the show, you stuck with the original premise of a film review show, right, but grew it in the direction that you wanted to.
Right.
And it's become very successful. As the executive producer, I've been very hands-off. I didn't have to, hey, we're gonna have a show this week.
Right.
It's always been done on time, done professionally. And that's what excites me, because I'm seeing that you are prepared to go be a professional in this industry.
Thank you. I've worked really hard, so
and it shows.
Yeah, I've really appreciated the time that I've got to do this. It takes a lot of hard work and a lot of hours during the week, but I feel like I've put it first. I've put Film Geek in front of everything that I've been doing at school. So.
Well, I don't know if I hope I didn't encourage you to do that.
No, absolutely not. No, but I love it so much that I'm like, man, this is what I want to do. This is what I love. Yeah, and I've just, it's hard to think this is my last show. So what other things do you hope to come from Cameron Productions in the future?
Well, I still have the goal that I would like to see a student-produced show. And don't forget, as you well know, all our shows are student-produced, student-directed, student-hosted, and student-crewed.
Right.
Okay? Jeff Larson, the production manager, and I only fill in in a position if there aren't enough people, and to perform engineering type functions and technical kinds of things. I'd still like to see students do a live show. There are some schools in the United States that do a live multi-camera broadcast, live with studio audience. I'd still like, we haven't quite got there yet, and I'd like to see that happen at some point.
That would be really cool.
Yes, it would be.
I wish that could happen now, because I would love to do that. What's it like getting to interact with students who think similarly to you and collaborate with them to produce things that you're both going, oh my God, this is great, this is an awesome thing to do?
Well, when it all works right, it's really a great experience, and it's great to see these students go off and become very successful professionals afterwards, so they understand what it means to do teamwork. You know, this is a team effort, and to work in a team situation and to produce quality programming. That's what I'm here to do, is to get students to that point.
When you first met me, I was in multimedia, and I was pursuing my bachelor's degree, which I decided not to do, and I decided to come to RTV. I don't know, that's got to make you feel some way, knowing that what you're doing as a professor is something great, to have me just change my major, come here and say, look, this is what I want to do. I love this. I know I can't be the only one that's ever done that before. How does that make you feel to know that you've had that
I
kind
will
of
say
influence?
this, that I'm thrilled that you found your calling. Okay, you know, multimedia is a very fulfilling degree plan for those students who love that.
Right.
And so, you know, we have a lot of students in our degree that end up changing to something else. And as long as you find your path that you want to travel on career-wise, then I've been successful, and your time here has been successful. And so I'm glad. I'm glad that you have the passion, and having that, you know, we've talked about that. It's not just enough to have the technical know-how, but you have to have the passion to do this, even when you get into the mundane kinds of things that are associated with this career. That passion will carry you through to the exciting things and rewards that come with it.
I'm just glad that I had a professor like you that could open my eyes to something that I really wanted to do and I enjoy doing. So,
well, thank you.
Thanks for being there and inspiring me. So I'd like to thanks to Dr. Jenkins for being here, and I'll be right back.
Dear Aggie, I feel my teacher is treating me unfairly. Any advice on what I should do?
Dear Aggie, I'm getting burnt out this semester. How can I avoid going nuts?
Dear Aggie, any advice on how to avoid getting sick this flu season? Dear Aggie.
The Cameron Collegian presents Dear Aggie, our new weekly advice column featured in the Student Life section. Submit your anonymous questions about issues involving school, family, relationships, or anything else on AggieCentral.com. Just click on the Dear Aggie tab for more information.
That's all for this final episode of Film Geek. This is the part where I usually say you can find me at the Starplex Cinema, where I'll be catching what's new at the box office, but that time has come to an end. So Aggies, thank you for watching, and thank you for all your support.